Tonight, we debate 8 Batman films. Thank you, everybody, for being here for another episode of Debate 8. Just like every weekday, we have a incredible show. We have a really fun topic for you tonight. Tonight, we are talking about the Caped Crusader, one of the leaders of the Justice League. We are talking about Batman and the films of Batman. And we got a wild, crazy number of different films that we're going to throw together in an NCAA tournament. And we're going to vote, and you guys here who are watching now are going to decide which Batman film you guys think is the best. But I'm not going to be doing it alone. I am not only going to be the one here giving my opinions. I got 2 panelists, 2 first-time panelists to the show, and I'm not going to wait much longer. I'm going to bring them on so that you all can see their lovely faces. We have Jolly from Sno Dub Music and Entertainment, and of course we have Dark Knight of Thrones, James, Gentleman, and Puppet. How are you this evening? How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Yeah, real good. Thanks for having us on, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think I'm at a disadvantage. You put me against the guy who can actually talk like Batman. This isn't fair.
All right, well, let's hear it. Let's hear your Batman.
Swear to me.
Oh, jeez. That's really good. Okay.
Told you.
Shut the show down. I think we have a winner.
Pretty much. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
It's done.
Sorry. Oh,
hey,
sorry, I'll watch the cussing.
This is a PG-14 show.
My bad.
No, I mean, it's okay. I think I knew what I got into when I invited you on, Jolly. It's okay.
I promise I'll be reserved from here on out.
All good. All right. So for those of you that this may be your first time, we got these 2, not competitors per se, but our panelists, and they're going to be giving their opinions about Batman films. But before we get into it, I kind of want to get your guys' history of Batman and your overall thoughts about, this superhero and if he's one of your favorites. How do you feel? So Jolly, let's start with you since you're on top. Typically Jolly's on top, what I would assume. Jolly.
You heard about me.
That's right. I heard some things.
What are you trying to say about Marines, huh?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I wasn't on ship that long.
I washed my hands of that.
Oh, wow.
Jolly, Batman, how do you feel?
Batman, well, I got a history with Batman. Let's see. I'm old enough, I'm an old puppet. So I'm old enough to have seen, the TV show. It was on a rerun at that point. Sure. When I was a kid, but I did see it. And then I, of course, remember the epic movie that came out in '89 with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. And
sure.
If you weren't alive during those days or you were too young to remember, it was kind of a big deal. A lot of people were hyped up about that movie. So, but we'll save that for the debate.
Yeah.
And I love Batman. I love the character. I'm more of a Marvel fan. But in the DC universe, Batman's right up there. He's definitely one of my top picks.
Yeah, Batman's definitely king. And we're all, I think, generally the same age here. So 1989, when that first movie came out, I think would probably hit us all pretty hard and pretty good.
Yeah.
James, what about you?
5th grade, 10 years old.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so James, Batman for you.
I actually still have the little plastic bank that was attached to the Batman breakfast cereal.
Wow.
I completely forgot to grab it. I should have got it just to show you guys. But yeah, the Michael Keaton with the stickers that make him look all cross-eyed.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I don't even know if I have any memorabilia of Batman. I probably do somewhere. I don't know. I know my kid's got like Batman clothes up the wazoo. Like he's full of Batman clothes. But that might be the only stuff we got. But that's all good.
Batman is a brand. Even if you're like not into the movies and comics, I mean, it's just, the logo itself is just it's as recognizable as Ralph Lauren.
Well, then let's do this. What logo? Before we get into it, I don't want to waste too much time, but I gotta ask this: which logo is better, yellow or blue? Which one would you vote for?
Yellow, black and yellow.
Jolly.
Well, I'm blue, so I guess I gotta say blue.
There you go. All right, we got our first debate already. All right, so let's jump into the bracket. Okay, so for those of you who are, I keep saying that, I gotta come up with a better phrase. So what we do is, now that we have our topic of Batman, we have 8, really fun, excellent films that we're gonna throw together, and then we're gonna talk about and we're gonna vote on. This is our tournament bracket. Let's take a look at the first matchup of the first round. It's the number 1 seed of The Dark Knight going up against the number 8 seed Batman v Superman. The second matchup of the first round is the number 4 seed Batman, that's the 1989 version, going up against the number 5 seed Mask of the Phantasm.
Tough round already.
Oof, I know that the 4-5s are always the toughest for this one. The number 3 seed of The Dark Knight Rises goes up against the number 6 seed of Batman Returns. And rounding out the first round is the number 2 seed Batman Begins going up against the 7 seed of Batman Forever. Let's jump into it. We got 5 minutes on the clock. James, we'll start with you. How do you feel about these two films, Dark Knight, Batman v Superman, and about the matchup in general?
Well, the matchup in general, I think this one's going to be as close to a shutout or as we can get on this one. Whoever doesn't love The Dark Knight, I'm not so sure if you're really that much of a Batman fan. I think out of the 3 that Christopher Nolan did, this was the one that was just truly nailed to the wall. And you can't not talk about Heath Ledger's amazing performance and what he did as an actor, that the dude from 10 Things I Hate About You pulled off what is arguably the best Joker we've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I might have went Knight's Tale, but you went 10 Things I Hate About You, which is a good pull as well. Snow, how do you feel about The Dark Knight over Batman v Superman?
Well, yeah, all I gotta say is Martha. Right?
Why did you say that name?
Yeah, no, I got to echo that because Heath Ledger slam dunking the Academy Award. I think he would have got it even if he wouldn't have passed away, unfortunately.
Sure.
Because when you watch that character in that movie, you are completely engulfed into what he's trying to put across on the screen.
Right.
And when a movie could take your mind away from everything else and put you in that world, that's a smash right there. It's a smash hit, and very few movies can do that. And Dark Knight definitely delivers.
Now let me ask this, and I'll get your guys' opinion. While I would absolutely lean Dark Knight over Batman v Superman, do you think that we should take any points away from the fact that this is more of a Joker film than it actually is a Batman film? Now, I know we're talking as a whole here, and it's still one of the greatest Batman films, but is it really a great Batman film, or is it really a great Joker film?
Well, I definitely have to say it is a great Batman film because, like, even we were kind of discussing backstage, Batman and Joker are two sides of the same coin. They are truly each other's balance, night and day, those two. They're both screwed up. They both looked into the abyss. One of them cracked and the other one smiled.
That's true. Jolly, you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. The Dark Knight, they almost could have named it, Joker or something like that because, it was so involved with Heath Ledger's character. But not to take away from the performance by Christian Bale. And I think, being his second movie as that character, he was finally starting to nail it home and deliver it the best that he could, So on both parts, they both did amazing performances. But of course, Heath Ledger is just one of those ones that's just more memorable, excuse me. And so I think, it would have made a good if it had Joker in the title. I think that would have been a good thing.
Sure.
But, it's still a great movie either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all. I'm not going to say we're stalling for time here, but I think that this one's a clear winner. I don't think anyone really would. I mean, if this isn't 100% to 0 vote, I will be shocked. Although there are some people in here who may, because Cap in Pennsylvania says, I'm a Batman fan and I hate this movie. I'm curious, Cap, do you hate Dark Knight? You're a little unclear there, so not sure. Tarazan jumps in, says, hands down, not a Batfleck fan. So I guess we know which way she's going. LB
Right
is
on.
here. LB says, anyone who votes for BVS, I will personally call them Martha. Excellent.
Wow.
Okay, that's a good one.
Wow.
Benzo is here as well.
That's cold.
This one's hard, but I'm going with the Dark Knight. Yeah, I don't necessarily think this is going to be,
Well, to be
anything
the
other than-
devil's advocate a little bit,
Okay.
and I will say it's not that I hated Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
I just wasn't completely enthralled with it. I like the fact that they at least made an attempt to do something live action that kind of played into the Dark Knight Returns, by Frank Miller, which is just one of my favorite graphic novels.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially if nothing else, the fight scene where they first meet and he shoots that kryptonite cannon bullet is straight out of Dark Knight Returns, and it's amazing. That was almost page to screen, at least for that fight.
Yeah, a one-armed Green Arrow would have been even cooler. Though.
Right. Oh yeah, 100% for sure. All right, time is up. It is now time to vote. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch the vote, and we do the voting here right in YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to go to SurveyMonkey. We do it in the chat, but you got to follow these directions, okay? If you want to vote for the Dark Knight in the chat, you do !vote1. Make sure there is a space in between vote and the number that you wish to vote for. If you want to do Batman v Superman, do !vote8 in the chat. By the two panelists who are throwing up the ones, I think we know who they are voting for. I'm totally with them. Like I said, I think this is going to be a complete blowout. I don't really expect anyone to vote for Batman v Superman. So here I go. I'm gonna vote as well. So let's see. Tara voted.
Wow, 8-0 already.
Tara voted. We got James voted. Benzo voted. Curtis voted. Wu Tang voted. LB voted. Vix voted. Trinity voted. Lavas voted. I voted. Cap voted. Oh, so Cap. Okay, so Cap voted for Dark Knight. So that means he hated Batman vs Superman. Okay, so that makes sense. That you can stay, Cap. Okay, I know you haven't been feeling well, so I wasn't going to give you a lot of crap. But because you voted for the right one, I'm not going to ban you from the show. So we're okay. We're good here. Second Street says, I like BVS, but Dark Knight is by far better. And that's, I agree. I know, James, you agree with that. Jolly, I don't know if you actually liked BVS at all. Or if you really dislike it.
I enjoyed it. It was a good popcorn flick for me. But it was kind of all over the place. There was a lot of plot holes, a lot of what the hell type of moments. So after watching that movie and then going back and thinking about the Dark Knight, it's really night or day. It really is.
Yeah,
it's two different movies on two different levels.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. All right, so the time is up, and to no one's surprise, we have a 100% to 0 vote for the Dark Knight. Let's jump back into our bracket. Dark Knight, no shock, moving on. It's going to be real tough, even to top it later on. But if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be one of these next two competitors. It's going to be the number 4 seed of Batman going up against the number 5 seed Mask of the Phantasm. This is going to be a tough one for people, I think. Jolly, we'll start with you on this one. How do you feel about the original, not the original, but the one that really brought Batman to the pop culture in the 80s, and then there's 90s, right? 90s Batman movie that the animated series was very popular, and this just blew it up altogether, being a theatrically released movie. So Jolly, what do you think about these?
Oh yeah, well, Tim Burton, number one. I mean, in his prime, he'd just come off of what was it? Was it Beetlejuice or Edward Scissorhands? Anyway, he was on a roll. Mm-hmm. And then you got, of course, Michael Keaton, who a lot of people at the time were like, no, he ain't gonna work. But after you've seen him in the bat suit, You know, a lot of people were like, "Oh, now I understand why they picked him," because he just has that look. He does. And then you got the Bruce Wayne look too. And then of course you got the incredible performance by Jack Nicholson. Let's not take away, you know, from his Joker at all. Even though Heath Ledger probably did a better job in his version of it, I think Jack Nicholson's version stands on its own because it was a more I want to say cartoony version of the movie when The Dark Knight was way more serious.
Sure.
Now, I know I'm supposed to be putting it up against Batman Phantasm,
which is cartoony.
I can't, I can't compare it because it's a cartoon compared to a movie. The storylines are both great, but I always got to lean more towards the movie because, you know, there's just more involved with special effects, favorite actors,
Sure.
And then of course, you know, it's got a lot of nostalgia for me and a lot of other people because we all know that this movie kind of, you know, set it off as far as comic book movies coming in the future. Before this movie, we didn't really have that. And this one kind of broke the mold. I mean, we did, but they were cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Superman movies, but like you said, the first couple were good but cheesy, but then they fell off real hard, and then came Batman. James, what do you think about these?
Exactly.
Well, you know, he made the case for Batman. I don't think there's much more that I can really add to that. You know, also because, like you said, you know, we're all around the same age, so we were all about, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th grade when this movie came out. So it really struck us just in a certain way. Prior to that, there had, you know, the last Batman movie was 66 Batman, which, you know, by the way, awesome freaking movie. Because some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. But so I'm going to make my case for the Mask of the Phantasm here, because it's really one of those things. Now, you go back and you watch it in retrospect after you've seen it before. But the first time you watch it, it's really no surprise that if it kind of catches you out of left field that, oh, shoot, that was Bruce's girl the whole time. And this was before you had, you know, companies like Disney really trying to shove that at us. And when, you know, the girls didn't necessarily always have to be the hero. It's like she was a hell of a villain. I just absolutely love that movie. And Kevin Conroy's performance in that is 100% stellar. I mean, anybody like me, I mean, I have thousands of hours on the Arkham series. So when I hear Kevin Conroy's voice, I think Batman. And it's just one of those movies that's just up there on the top of my list of all-time favorite cartoon movies. It's up there with among my favorite Batman movies. And it was just so well done. The presentation was just so perfect. Everything from the script to the acting to, you know, I mean, it's not cinematography, but the directing and with the animation, it was just one of those that, you know, you can just put that on if you're flipping through the channels and you'll get stuck on it and not want to change. You just want to watch it again. So rewatchability is a huge factor. Sure,
absolutely. And you know what? You guys are split, and the chat is super split here. I was going through some of them. Let's see. Like Lava says, Mask of the Phantasm. I have to go with that. My favorite Batman story ever. Curtis says,
"Oh, come on, we got the Prince soundtrack, man. It was Prince soundtrack. Come on."
Curtis says, "I love '89, but I truly see Mask as a better Batman story." Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says Mask is great, but this is Keaton. Like, yeah, obviously he's the OG, right?
Right.
Snow has my vote, so there you go, Snow. You're pulling people on your side. Let's see here. That Curtis says that's why I love the cartoon, because for a cartoon it holds its own. So man, I don't know. I think this one is going to be a split vote. So let's do it. Time to vote. Let's throw this up. If you want to vote for Batman 89, do exclamation vote 4 in the chat. Remember, there is a space. If you want to do Mask of the Phantasm, do exclamation vote 5. All right. So here's where I am on this one. So Batman is, nostalgic wise, is such a great film. It is so good. I was 9 years old when this movie came out. It blew my mind. I was hooked as a Batman fan forever and always because of this movie. For the longest time, Keaton was my Batman. Nicholson was my Joker, and there was nothing beating it. And then I watched this movie when I was older, and man, does this thing not hold up, like in the least. Oh, it is brutal to watch now. And it's one of those movies where I don't think I can ever watch it again. And I will just live with the fact that my nostalgia will always love this movie. Now, for me, Mask of the Phantasm was such a surprise. Like, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. And I know this may be blasphemous, but Kevin Conroy is Batman to me. Look, I know he's not a live action Batman. And so I guess there's a caveat to that, but just growing up watching the animated series, he just, I don't know. To me, he just personified Batman. And
technically, he was a live action Batman once, thanks to this new like CW crossover thing where he's Old Man Batman.
That's true. That is very true.
And I met the man. He is freaking towering, man. Like, he made me look short in that picture. I'm like, I can't even share this. I look like a shrimp.
Yeah. So that's a caveat. I'll take it. But it doesn't matter because time is just about to run out. And I think we have our first upset of the night. The original Batman is taking a loss to Batman Mask of the Phantasm. This is where Jolly just cuts out and drops out of the stream because he's so disgusted.
This is rigged.
Hey, this is how it goes. You know, for many streams, and Trinity will back me up on this. If Second Street is still here, there have been many times I've been on the losing end of these votes. It's sometimes you never really know what the chat's gonna do, and that's what's really fun about it. All right, let's jump back to the bracket. Our first
Still
upset of the night: Mask of the Phantasm going up against Dark Knight. I don't look. As much as I love Mask, that's going to be a tough one. All right, we go to the third matchup of the first round. We have the number 3 seed of The Dark Knight Rises going up against the number 6 seed of Batman Returns. James, we will start with you on this. We got 2 sequels. Well, technically the third of a trilogy. We have this the second film of the Tim Burton Batman series. What do you think about these 2 films?
Batman Returns, very underrated. I know it was a take that a lot of people weren't expecting. The changes they did to Selena Kyle's backstory, the changes that they made to Penguin, which, by the way, when it comes to the Penguin, I mean, pick your decade on what Penguin you're talking about, especially anything from the Arkham series to the comics to the animated series to the live action movies. Penguin's been portrayed differently each time, and Danny DeVito nailed that. He was perfect for that. Max Schreck, what a great character. What an introduction into the film. Tim Burton's style, his making a comic book kind of come to life in the way that he uses sets and props and his cinematography to tell his story. Definitely one of the darker sides of Batman. And Kevin Smith, if you're watching, stop talking crap on Tim Burton. He made some good-ass Batman, okay? And if you've read Batman Cacophony, which is written by Kevin Smith, at least I didn't need a dictionary while watching this movie.
Hold on. Hey, Kevin Smith, if you're watching, you're welcome to come on the show. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, come on, Jersey boy. Keep it awesome. Local 404, baby.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, Batman Returns, one of the greatest. I mean, come on. And Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, this woman's like damn near 60 years old now, and she's still just as smoking as she was in Scarface at 20. I mean, it was the perfect cast. It was the perfect everything. I feel like that movie, it's hard for me to actually find real flaws with it unless I'm doing that whole quote unquote comparing it to the comics thing. But one of my points with that is just that even if you look at the comics from decade to decade, the comics have rebooted from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s. They always do that. So this time we got a reboot in the form of live action, and then people say, oh, well, it's not like the comics. Well, the comics aren't like the comics. So When it comes to that, 100% love Batman Returns. But, dude, you're putting it up against you're putting up against what I like to call the Bane movie. So that makes it really tough for me, you know? I mean, by the time I saw a tournament, I was already a man. And by then it was nothing to me but blinding. So fantastic. And I got to give props to Tom Hardy for that. A lot of people criticized his voice and his accent in that movie.
Right.
But he actually based a lot of that on Liz Taylor's ex-husband, one of the many. But he was a South American who was in pain all the time. And he kind of took that and used that to create Bane's voice. So when people are criticizing that it doesn't sound like this, it is kind of a little, I mean, I get it, but if you really do your research, it's very understandable as to why it was portrayed that way. But, you know, when I got to pick between the two, I got to go Batman Returns.
Jolly, what do you think? What about these matchups?
Oh, wow. God, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I totally feel the same way about Batman Returns. It's an amazing movie for all the right reasons, like Tim Burton, of course. But, you know, Michelle Pfeiffer, I still think is probably the sexiest Catwoman we've had. Danny DeVito, I think, was a perfect pick for the Penguin. Some people might disagree with me, but try to think of another actor out there that was that prominent, that was under 4 feet tall. Anyway, but for The Dark Knight Rises, you know, it'll be very painful for you. You know, Bane's, the way I watch that movie is I always get into the Bane character, and I love that fight between him and Batman. Yeah. And he's all, oh, I was wondering which would break first, your mind or your body, you know what he says there. And that's true to the comic, because Bane broke, Batman's back in the comic.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, but that said, I mean, The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm going to try to give an argument for it, even though I'm really on the fence on this one. The Dark Knight Rises, it completes Nolan's trilogy. And the way that they pulled it all together, they even brought back, what's his name? The one actor from the Ra's al Ghul character. I'm having a brain fart.
Oh, Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. They brought him back for a little cameo. They made sure to give a nice, good arc to the story where, you know, Batman falls and then rises again. You know, you have that great storyline of, you know, your hero gets defeated, thrown to the bottom of hell, and has to work his way back up. And I feel that's brilliantly told in this movie. So even if you don't like Bane, you could still appreciate Nolan's, you know, kind of finishing bow on his trilogy and how he kind of wrapped it all together with Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman. And I don't care what you say, but what's her name?
Anne
the girl
Hathaway.
that plays Catwoman.
Anne Hathaway.
Oh, man, when she bends over on that bike. Oh,
you know, I agree with you. Anne Hathaway gets, the short end of the stick a lot of times when it comes to not getting her credit due for playing Catwoman. I thought she was just,
There's a joke in there I'm going to keep to myself.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer's the original. I get that, and she was brilliant, and there's we'll never take away anything from it. But I think Anne Hathaway did a great job. I thought she was great. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm torn on this one. I think, Dark Knight Rises gets a lot of hate. A lot of people really give it crap, and I think mostly it's because they really love The Dark Knight. So I think if you're trying to compare the two, it's hard to compare a classic all-time film to necessarily anything. At that rate, you're going to compare The Godfather to every mob movie ever, and it's never going to match up to it. So I think it gets a lot of those comparisons that, is it perfect? No, it's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a lot of fun. Batman Returns, another great movie. It's such childhood nostalgia for that. Man, I love Danny DeVito in this movie. He's so creepy when he's eating that fish and just like rips through it. Oh my God.
Bites that guy's nose. Oh, I love that part.
I love that scene.
Yeah, so I am going to vote, and I never told people how to vote, but I think by now we do know how to vote. and time's running out anyway. So if you did vote, it was vote 3 for Dark Knight Rises, vote 6 for Batman Returns.
Hello?
I just voted. I went Batman Returns. I think I tipped the scale here. I just think of the two Tim Burton films, I think Batman Returns is the better film, and it actually holds up a lot better as opposed to the original Batman. This one definitely it has much better staying power, I think, and it's a wild ride. It's so over the top, and it's so dark. It's actually a very dark film. It's more on the lines of Edward Scissorhands than some of his other ones as far as his creepiness that he goes with the Penguin, and I really enjoy it. All right, so The Dark Knight Rises coming in with 40%. Batman Returns. Look at this. We have another upset of the night. I don't know that I was, I guess I kind of expected this. A couple of upsets, but this is good. I like when we get the upsets for the show. So let's go back to the bracket. Take a look. Batman Returns moving on narrowly against The Dark Knight Rises. This brings us to our final matchup of the first round. The number 2 seed Batman Begins going up against the number 7 seed Batman Forever. Ooh, okay, so we got the first of the Nolan trilogy and the first of the Schumacher Batman films. James, we'll start with you on this one. How do you feel about these two films in this matchup?
I'm just gonna go ahead and use this time. I don't have to talk up Batman Begins because it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, come on, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is just on point, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they couldn't have gotten a better actor to play that. When it comes to Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones, terrible performance. George Clooney, terrible performance. Every one of them, terrible performance. I mean, it was just. It's not even George Clooney. Who cares?
No,
that's
this
how
is
much
Val
I cared
Kilmer.
about Val Kilmer's Batman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was just, it's forgettable. It's very easily forgettable. And of course, that's when they took the reins away from Tim Burton. And that's one of the things that has always bothered me. And maybe it doesn't have anything to do with the movie itself, but we were going to have the opportunity to have Lando Calrissian as Two-Face. All right. And we got robbed of that. So Billy D is sitting in his basement drinking a Colt 45, depressed as hell, and I'm mad about that. All right.
Yeah.
So, that was something we were robbed of. I really think they should have left it in the hands of Tim Burton. That they really could have done a lot more with that. But I mean, just I hate to criticize actors in such a way, but I don't think there was a single good acting performance in that movie, from Nicole to Val to any of them. Even rubber-faced Jim Carrey, I was less than impressed with his performance. And whether I like his stuff or not, I'll usually still praise the performance itself. I can't do that with this one. It's a movie I'm probably never going to watch again in my life. But Batman Begins, on the other hand, that's just a good dark movie. I really wish they'd have kept Katie Holmes throughout the whole series because I loved her Rachel Dawes. I just thought everything about that was great. Michael Caine as Alfred just really sold me on like his interpretation of the character. Christian Bale, just everything I said about Batman Forever, the exact opposite applies to Batman Begins. It's a phenomenal movie. It's something I still rewatch to this day.
Charlie, what do you think about these two films?
I couldn't have said it better myself. Is this the one where the bat suit got the nipples?
Yes, bat nipples.
Smaller nipples. They actually got
bat nipples.
They actually got bigger nipples, even more so in the next one.
Wow.
In Batman and Robin.
Yeah. More pronounced nipples. Yeah.
They put areolas on the next one.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. After what was it, Batman Returns, I kind of checked out of Batman for a while. I remember watching this one. I was kind of hyped for Jim Carrey's Riddler. I wanted to see what he brought to the part, but I was mad because I wanted Michael Keaton back. I can't remember what happened. They didn't offer him enough money, whatever the situation was. And then, of course, they tried to incorporate Robin into this one, and they made him look real cheesy and just like this acrobatic circus boy. So yeah, I just every time I think about this movie, I just kind of cringe. I think George Clooney even did a better job than Val, and that's not saying much.
Whoa.
That's not saying much. Okay, so but Batman Begins, God, I think when this came out, it really set the bar. You know what I mean, for a Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't experienced something like this. We had the whole Batman Begins type of thing, story told in minor little sections like flashbacks in the original Batman, but this one nailed it, with the whole building his armory and building his character, finding out how he learned how to be a martial artist and using the darkness by going up there and learning the ways of the League of Shadow. So what a great freaking movie. The rewatchability. This is one of those ones where you flip it through the channels and it's halfway going, you'll probably just stop and watch the rest anyway because it's that good.
Yeah. Yep. While I think Dark Knight may be my favorite and one of the best Batman films, I can easily flip-flop between that and Batman Begins as to which one is my favorite of the Nolan trilogy. It just sort of depends on the mood I'm in. Because you're right, 100%. The rewatchability of Batman Begins, I think, maybe have more than any of the Nolan trilogy. Definitely. And LB had a great point here. He said, Batman Begins brought Batman back from the dead, which he totally did because of all Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So if Nolan didn't nail it, we would have never gotten, a trilogy, let alone probably Batman for a very long time. So it had to work. Right. And I think it did. For sure. Here's the one thing I will...
I think this is a slam dunk, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I really don't see how you compare them.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you on this one. I'm going to bring up the poll here. So Batman Returns, if you want to vote for Batman... oh, yeah, they're a little switch there. Don't worry about that, but they got the right numbers. No, they're not even the right numbers. What am I doing? Hold on. Cancel.
Hang on now.
Cancel. All right, what are we doing here? We got... Sorry, here. All right, so we got Batman Begins is our first one. Excuse me, people. Batman Begins is our number 2 seed. Going up against, which one is this one? This is why, because I'm an idiot.
It's so forgettable. It's Batman Forever.
There we go. Yeah. Batman Begins, the number 2 seed. So exclamation vote 2 if you want to vote for Batman Begins. If you want to vote for Batman Forever, do exclamation vote 7. Look, I think everyone's probably going to vote Batman Begins. I'd be surprised if Batman Forever got much love here, but I do got to say, I do want to throw a little bit of love towards Batman Forever. This movie came out in 95. I was in early high school. At the time, man, I thought this movie was fun. I knew at the time it was not good. I get it. I understand that it wasn't good, but I thought it was fun. And I was a huge Jim Carrey fan. And I thought of anything of this movie, I loved his portrayal of the Riddler. It was so 90s Jim Carrey. And maybe it wasn't the best Riddler, but I thought it was a great Jim Carrey vehicle. So that I liked about it. Plus, as one of the best songs from a movie, and I will challenge you on Prince and Batman, and Kiss from a Rose might be the best pop song from a Batman movie. Okay, I'll put that out there. I think Kiss from a Rose is brilliant, and it's a great song. You could jam out to it today. Even so, I know the looks on your faces that you think I'm an idiot, but I stand by it.
I'm just saying, man. Like Prince's Batman soundtrack is part of my running playlist. Okay. I doubt I'll ever have Seal on there. Let's just.
I'm telling you, go back and listen to it.
Prince, hands down, man.
I don't know. I like Heidi Klum though. She was pretty hot.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
They're divorced now, though, I think.
Yeah, give me a call, Heidi.
Yeah.
It's my fault. Sorry.
All right. There's only 8 seconds left on the clock, but I think it's pretty clear. I think Batman Begins is going to be our winner. Again, not a big surprise there. A little top heavy on the 1 and 2 seeds, which I think we kind of expected. But the lower seeds kind of with a surprise. So let's jump back to our bracket now that this vote is complete. So look, we've made it to the second round. You guys have voted these 4 films in. So let's take a look at the next matchup. It's going to be a tough one, I think. Number 1 seed, The Dark Knight, going up against the number 5 seed, Mask of the Phantasm. Jolly, we'll throw it back to you this time. I know that you did not vote for Mask of the Phantasm before, so are you still going with your live action Batman over your animated?
Oh yeah, by a long shot. I don't think this animated one should even be in the top 4 personally. I feel there's a couple of movies that totally was better than this, but that's my opinion. So I think this should be another slam dunk. Unless somebody's got in the chat's got a lot of nostalgia towards the cartoon, you just can't compare once again to Heath Ledger's Joker, Academy Award winning performance, and critics across the board all praise this as probably the best Batman film ever made. So put that up next to the cartoon, and it just pales in comparison.
At this point, even though I voted for Mask of the Phantasm, I might be leaning towards Jolly on this one. Do you feel the same way, James, or you sticking with your animated?
It's really hard for me to play devil's advocate on this one. I'm Dark Knight through and through on this. I wish I could even try to make an argument for it. Kevin Conroy, there's the only argument I can make when it comes to this matchup. But The Dark Knight is it's not just a great Batman movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be a Batman fan to truly enjoy this story, this dark, loathsome, these characters, just everything came together perfectly in it. You can't praise Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, and anybody that was involved in this project from top to bottom at all. I mean, it was just, it's really one of those just damn near almost perfect films. So yeah, I got to go with The Dark Knight.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I would say generally for the most part, people are with you in the chat. But a little bit mixed. But I do got to say, Captain Pennsylvania, thank you for having my back. Kiss from a Rose is on his playlist. I appreciate that. And looks like Lavas also is enjoying that song. So there is some love out there for some Seal. Benzo is going with The Dark Knight for sure. Captain Pennsylvania is still holding on to Mask of the Phantasm. Let's see. What does Tarazan say? I love the animated, but I'm with Snow. Yeah. And then James too on this one, because it's tough, man. It's tough to go along with the animated film. It's just, it's a great, fun, entertaining film, but when you have a film that just changes the landscape of pretty much film in general, I mean, it's hard to match that. So not too much. Oh, and that's a nice little pop there. I like that one. I'm going to start the poll a little early on this one because I think we pretty much know how this one's going to go. If you want to vote for The Dark Knight, go ahead in the chat, do exclamation vote 1. If you want to do Mask of the Phantasm, do exclamation vote 5. I'm definitely going The Dark Knight. One of the best movies ever made. Here's the thing that is going to, I don't want to say too much about the things I don't like about it, because I actually want to save that to the next round, because I think the next round is going to be very difficult. And since this is definitely going through, I'll save my negatives for next. So I'll say another positive. Morgan Freeman in this movie, I think, is brilliant. The addition of his character in all of these films. I've always been a Batman fan, but I never, I don't think I've read a lot of comics that had a lot of Lucius Fox in it. But even though I know he's been a character, so it was nice to kind of get an expansion on the character and really get the cue, if you will, the James Bond cue to Batman in all of these films. And it was a very well written character, and I think, Morgan Freeman nails just about everything he does, but especially in this movie, I think he's stellar, and the depths he goes in his character is great. All right, so we got time running down here. We got 10 seconds left on the clock. We have pretty much a blowout. The Dark Knight is going to take it. So we're going to call it right here. Time is up. It did get a little bit of love, so I'm happy for the animated film. I'm glad it made it on the list. Okay, there were some other films that may not have made it, but I'm glad at least this one had a good showing. It did what it needed to do. It's one of those outside, minor schools that play in the tournament, but it did have a nice showing. So thumbs up to Mask of the Phantasm, but the number 1 seed overall is moving on to the finals. Now let's get to our second matchup of the second round. We have the number 6 seed Batman Returns going up against the number 2 seed of Batman Begins. All right. I think James, we'll go with you on this one. You had a lot of love for both of these. So what do you got on this one?
These late rounds are gonna be the toughest, period. Because everything I already said about Batman Returns, from the set design to the cinematography to the acting to the script writing to the fact that it had Pee Wee Herman in it as Penguin's dad. This movie was amazing, absolutely amazing. And then you've got Batman Begins, Christian Bale, Cillian Murphy, guys just pulling off characters you didn't really see them in until a casting director said, "Hey, I bet this guy can do it." Mm-hmm. And they really showed us that they can. Let me talk about Batman Begins here just for a minute. Dark, scary story. And that was one of the things that Christopher Nolan really captured when he did the Batman films, was that sense of something that's unrealistic and putting it into a sense of realism in our universe, where it's like, other than the fact that if somebody's boiling a pot of pasta, shouldn't that steam have come off with the water and made him cuckoo? But, one little plot hole isn't enough for me to hate a movie. Sure. But it's just absolutely fantastic. You got little Joffrey before he was King Bastard in it. That's right. He was the kid. Batman threw him the gadget, so nobody's ever gonna believe this. That was just, dude. Every scene in that movie is memorable. Like when Batman lights on fire and has to call Alfred to come save him. Just you feel the emotion in that scene when Alfred's driving the rolls and he's thinking about this man now that he raised from a boy who's practically his son. That's just the emotion hits you in that movie. It makes it relatable. And as much as I love Batman Returns, I think that's the one thing that it's lacking is relatability. So just for that reason alone, I think Batman Begins edges one of my favorite Batman movies in Batman Returns. I hate to not vote for this one, but I think Batman Begins edges it just for those tiny little details.
All right, abandoning your childhood. Jolly, how about you? Where are you going on this one?
Did that a long time ago.
This is a tough one for me as well. Once again, I'm a huge fan of both these movies. I'm kind of leaning more towards Batman Returns.
Ooh, okay.
And here, let me tell you why.
Yeah, please.
One, it's a Christmas movie. A lot of people forget that. And a lot of scenes were shot in the snow, and some really cool scenes actually that were shot in the snow. And so it's a nice festive movie that you can play around Christmas time. But everybody's talking Christopher Nolan, and they forgot to mention Christopher Walken. All right,
that's
Christopher
true.
Walken is in this movie.
Nice,
and he plays a really cool role of just a great scumbag. He plays it brilliantly. One of his better performances, I think. And the Hollywood list of great characters were stacked up in Batman Returns, and they really stacked the deck. Because with Michelle Pfeiffer coming through as Catwoman in that slinky leather suit, it blew everybody's minds back. Man, they never thought they would see something like that. It was some next level stuff. And in Batman Begins Batman or The Dark Knight, I don't know. We just don't have a lot of female character in that one. I hate to put the whole Whammon card in there, but there's not a whole lot. What's her name's in there? Kind of Rachel Goss or whatever, but she doesn't have a huge role like what's her name does, Michelle Pfeiffer. So I don't know. I mean, Batman Returns has got a little more to offer, but God, this is a real hard one because The Dark Knight is just such a great movie and so well made for a starting movie for Batman and his backstory. So man, what a tough vote.
Yeah, this is in the chat. The chat is very split too. Curtis says it's a hard toss up between Begins and Dark Knight because Liam Scarecrow, scary effects, gritty ass action though. Yeah, I mean Scarecrow is a great villain in this movie. He's talking about Dark Knight. Yeah. Interesting. I think we're a little behind there. All right. Too many memorable moments in the Dark Knight. Yeah, we're still talking about Dark Knight. Jay, no, they're fine. I'm just clicking on things. Jay stopped in. Hey, Jay, what's up, man? He said, stopped in for a second. Never think I'd see Hip Hop Grover running it down. Hey, man, Jolly's the man.
Grover's my cousin.
Yeah.
On the mom's side.
That's right. All right. Let's see. Trinity says Batman Begins is the best movie on the list. So we are split for sure. Let's see. Tarazan says we don't need women in it, Snow. Come on now.
Oh yeah, sure. A woman would say that.
Yeah.
You just want to see all them hot, chunky, hunky men running around. I see how it is.
That's right.
We need our Catwoman fix. Come on, Tara.
All right, so let's do it. Let's get this poll going. Let's see exactly what the people feel about these two films. If you want to vote for Batman Returns, do exclamation vote 6 in the chat. If you want to do Batman Begins, do exclamation vote 2. I think the panel's split. I'm split too, man. I really love Batman Begins. And I think I'm leaning that way. But I do got to say, of the Tim Burton Batman films, Batman Returns, I think, is my favorite. And Snow, you are right. Like this, it does have a lot more to offer as far as characters and story, and they really did a really good job of just like the interaction between everybody. And look, I know it's not everyone's favorite take to make the Penguin an actual penguin, because typically he's the gangster guy, but that's the Tim Burton twist that you get with it. I mean, he wasn't going to do a gangster. He was going to do an actual guy who turned into a penguin, who was swimming with them. And oh God. And when he, that gross scene when he was in his like long john underwear, oh man, as a kid, that scarred me for life, I think, seeing,
the green stuff coming out of his mouth when he's dying. It's fantastic.
And yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer was great and sexy and and she's licking people's faces. I mean, it's got it all. Oh yeah. I'm torn. But I do think at the end of the day, I think I gotta go Batman Begins. I think it's just a better made film. I think if we're gonna compare filmmakers, we're talking Nolan versus Tim Burton. And look, Tim Burton was great in the 90s, and I think that overall he's had a really nice body of work, but Nolan is just a master filmmaker. For at least for the majority of his films. So I think I got to go Batman Begins. And it looks like the majority of the people actually went Batman Begins too, because the time is up and the number 2 seed of Batman Begins is moving on. Pretty commanding vote there. We got about a 73% vote going up against a 27 for Batman Returns. Again, a nice showing for Batman Returns. Surprised, not surprised that it went that far, but it did anyway. So you know what, it comes down to this. Despite all the upsets, we are landing on the number 1 seed, The Dark Knight, going up against the number 2 seed of Batman Begins. This is your finals, gentlemen. 2 Nolan films. Look, one of the greatest films, comic book films ever made with The Dark Knight. Batman Begins, a stellar Batman movie that relaunched not only Batman, but one could say comic book genre in general, and just sort of reignited the flame on that one. It came out right around the time with Iron Man, so the two of them are responsible for the upswing of comic book movies again. I forget who we went with last time, so I'll just go with Jolly for this time since he's on my left. I lose track of this stuff. So
it's all good. Puppets first. Puppets first.
That's
it's
right.
Cool.
We got puppets rights. So
yeah.
Jolly, man, this is probably the toughest, clearly the toughest one we've had so far. How do you feel about this particular matchup? Who's going to win it for you?
I was thinking about this because I kind of seen it coming, and I kind of figured this would be the last two, and so I was thinking about it ahead of time, and I came up with it, and I realized what I could really compare this to help put it in, put it in perspective for everybody. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the Nolan trilogy. All right, even though The Dark Knight Rises isn't here, I'm going to compare the Nolan trilogy to George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy and how they line up perfectly as far as how they go as far as good to bad or good to, they're all good, but from least to worst. So anyway, Star Wars number one, I think is a great Star Wars movie. It really set the tone, but Empire Strikes Back is just the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. It just nails it. The story, the characters, everything is just amazing in Empire Strikes Back. Then, of course, Return of the Jedi is a great movie too, and it's right up there, but I don't think it's as good as Empire. Now, when I look at Nolan's trilogy, I see it the exact same way. We got an amazing beginning, but that middle chapter just knocks it home with the greatest characters, the greatest story, and then of course it rounded off with a great third movie as well. So when you compare these two franchises side by side, even though they're different kinds of stories, they really do match up well as far as least to worst, as far as and then of course they're all good. They're all good. So that's the only way I can really compare it for you guys and to try and make an argument. And just say, the middle one just did better. It was just a better movie than the other two.
Yeah, look, man, that was an excellent analogy or simile, whichever one it is. It's a great comparison between the two. It almost fits like a glove. James, how do you feel about these two films? Which one do you think you're going to go with?
Oh God, it's like you want me to play devil's advocate, but what can I add that Snow didn't other than it's an election year, and I believe in Harvey Dent. I mean, that's one thing we haven't even discussed yet, though, was what an amazing Two-Face we got out of this movie. Just fantastic performances all around. And I'm really talking about both movies right now, because this was one of the things that was nice about this series. I mean, possibly you could leave off The Dark Knight Returns, or The Dark Knight Rises, out of this equation. But Batman Begins and The Dark Knight seamlessly just fit together. I mean, they really, you can put them back to back and they play perfectly like one long movie. Just there's a little bit of a time jump in there. Just like Jolly was saying, like from Star Wars to The Empire Strikes Back, it's just one nice continuous story. But man, that middle one knocked it out of the park. It was just, how do you get a better Batman movie than what we got with The Dark Knight? And I know Captain Pennsylvania said we're going to riot if Batman Begins doesn't win this. So grab your torch and pitchforks, because I got to go with The Dark Knight on this one too. I want to argue. I want to put up the argument for Batman Begins. But Batman Begins makes its own great argument by being an amazing film. But The Dark Knight is just that much better. I want to add one more thing. The villains are so good in all these movies, but the ultimate villain was in The Dark Knight. Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul are great, but the Joker in The Dark Knight is the best, hands down. And the way that they put it together with Joker's involvement with Two-Face and how they brought that story together, and it's just to call out the scene where Heath Ledger tries to blow up the hospital, and he ends up having to improv half of the scene because the explosives didn't go off right away. And he just 100% stays in character, and it made them just that scene made it so much better than they had originally written it. So I mean, the stories were great. How did I get these scars? You want to know how I got these scars? And then everyone was different. I love it. Well, hello, beautiful. That's what I have to say to The Dark Knight.
Right.
You knew you were in for a trip as soon as he shoved the pencil in the guy's head. Like from that second, I mean, you could say from the opening with the whole bus scene clearly, but like you knew you were getting a twisted Joker when that pencil got shoved in the forehead. And from then on, I'm just like, okay, I'm in. This is the Joker we're getting, and I'm locked in. And
Right.
man, and what an incredible performance. I got to push back a little bit on Aaron Eckhart, though. I thought this was the weakest part of the film. And I don't blame Eckhart. I think he's an excellent actor. I don't know. I thought it was unnecessary to have Two-Face. I get why, and I'm not complaining about it. There's nothing really wrong with it. I don't know. To me, I felt like it was not, I don't want to say wasted, but I don't know if it was needed. I think they could have done more if it was just a Joker Batman film. Now maybe too much Joker would have lessened our enjoyment of it. So maybe less is more. James,
Right.
Well, I do want to counterpoint that just really quick in that without the whole Harvey Dent storyline, because it affected the story going forward and kind of turning Batman into like the public villain.
Right.
You couldn't pull that off with the Joker. The Joker represents what is supposed to be just evil in its purest form.
Mhm.
But when you've got the White Knight face of Harvey Dent and his death, there's no way you could have turned Batman into the fugitive if all he did was overtake the Joker, because then that's how do you move forward making Batman the bad guy? He's nothing but the hero.
Sure.
But with the Harvey Dent storyline, it allows the opportunity to go forward with that story and make Batman the bad guy.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like in The Dark Knight was the switch from Katie Holmes to that new actress. I didn't like her as much as Rachel
Gyllenhaal.
Jones.
Not a fan.
I wasn't a fan.
Besides
that, the movie's brilliant.
Not a fan.
Absolutely brilliant.
I thought she did good. I didn't think she was horrible.
She was okay. I thought Katie Holmes was better.
All right. I mean, hey, yeah, it's fine. It's negligible to me.
Right. I really had to dig for that.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, well,
this one's close.
I mean, look, it may be cliche because everyone always claims The Dark Knight is the best, best Batman film or the best comic book film ever. But this is what happened. You guys voted. You did it. You moved The Dark Knight on. And now The Dark Knight, according to you people here in the chat, have voted The Dark Knight as the #1 Batman film.
As it should be.
Ooh, that was a good one, guys. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
We had the final we were expecting, I think, and that's what made it so tough. Is because they're just so damn good, both of them. And Batman Returns. I mean, there's just we had a tough bracket.
Right. What shocked me was the original '89 Batman getting knocked out so quick. But besides that, it was pretty good. Really good.
I tell you, I don't know the last time you guys watched that film. Has it been a while? Because if it has, I encourage you to watch it and see if it holds up for you, and let me know, because it really doesn't for me, and I wanted to, because I used to love that movie so much, but it just, I don't know, it's so corny now, like so over the top corny. It's very difficult.
I think the only thing that doesn't hold up for me in that film is just the whole Vicky Vale thing, and her partner, and kind of what's going on with like the cops and the henchmen, Joker's henchmen. It's like, I can kind of overlook that, but it's really, really hard for me to find a flaw in The Dark Knight, other than the recasting of Rachel.
Yeah, the original Batman, I'm very nostalgic to Jack Nicholson's portrayal, and just Jack Nicholson as an actor. He's magic when he's on screen, so that's why I think I was a little more partial to the original one.
Yeah, definitely, and no shame in that. Obviously, it's the one that started it all for all of us youngins back in the day. So it's all good there. Well, gentlemen, puppets, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. This has been a blast. You guys were awesome.
Dude, thank you.
You guys brought the heat tonight, and it was great talking Batman with you for sure. Definitely.
greatest graphic literary character of all time. And if I could just take a moment, man, I just want to tell you guys my Adam West story really fast.
Yeah, please, floor is yours.
I was at a Monster Mania Con, which takes place in your hometown, sir. And I was there, and they had Adam West and Burt Ward. I had them both sign my 66 Batman poster.
Oh, nice.
And, girl I was dating sitting there, and she's snapping pictures as Adam West is signing stuff, which ticks off his agent or his handler or whatever. And they start arguing, and I had to step in, and I got all firm with both of them. Hey, look, you're cutting into my Adam West time. And I said, I just want to tell you, Mr. West, your portrayal was my first exposure to the greatest graphic literary character of all time. And if this SOB didn't put the pen down, just look up at me real slowly and held out his fist for the fist bump. And I got the fist bump to Batman.
Wow.
So I'll never forget that, man. That was an experience.
Great. Well, I don't have a Batman story, but I do have one story that you might like.
Okay.
And that was the time I went to a wrestling event. It was a steel cage match. It was Jake the Snake Roberts versus Macho Man Randy Savage. And I just happened to have a front row ticket all by myself. My cousin and my uncle had one a couple rows back, but somehow I managed to get this front row one that was just miscellaneous. Anyway, at the end of the match, the Macho Man dropped the elbow down on Jake the Snake. He said, "Ooh, yeah!" And he went around the ring and he started giving everybody 5. And guess whose 5 he gave to? That's right, me. Well, the guy with his hand up my ass over here, but he gave me a 5, and it was the greatest feeling I ever felt in my life. So I do have the spirit of Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah! Check it.
Love it.
Freaking awesome, man.
True story.
I believe it. Of course,
jelly.
100%.
I can't lie.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Jolly, Snow, why don't you tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on online?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of them already mentioned it. You said a funky hip-hop puppet. Well, you nailed it, buddy. Come on over to my channel. Check out some Sno Dub music. Extra funky songs like Tuck and Roll. Watch my strut. And then, of course, the funny antics by the puppets. So we got our show, the Ribbit and Bigot show every night, where I get crazy with this insane frog. And, well, you could ask James. That just gets nuts. And then the blonde's there, too, but she's always late. And, yeah, just fun puppet antics. Lots of comedy, lots of laughs. And come on over. Give us a reach around, and we'll give you a back kiss.
For sure. James, how about you?
Yeah, me. I'm trying to manage 2 channels, man. I got that jarhead that just lives inside of me and always will. So I recently set up a veteran humor / channel to kind of help people who are maybe thinking about going into the military, stuff like that. Talk about everything from military history, military movies, anything having to do with the United States Marine Corps, Semper Fi, anybody who served in any branch. You're my brother, please know that. And then I also have what's called Dark Knight of Thrones, which I consider to be my nickname based off of 2 of what used to be my favorite fandoms. But that's where I do all the geek stuff, movies. I recently interviewed the frog that he's talking about, Mr. K-Log over there. I'm trying to do more interviews. I do video games, gaming, mostly Bethesda stuff like Skyrim and Fallout. So if you're into that, check out Dark Knight of Thrones. And if you're into military stuff, check out USMC Rebels.
Yes, definitely. And for anyone that needs any links or anything, it's all in the description below. I put Twitter, I put YouTube, so definitely go give these guys a follow. If you're new to seeing them, definitely do it, because some very entertaining stuff. So for sure, absolutely, gentlemen. Then once again, before we head out, thank you again for joining. Open invitation. You guys are definitely welcome back anytime. We'll get you on again to talk some fun stuff in the future. For sure.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Fanjecture. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Really, it's my honor. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sure. All right. Well, that's it. That's our show for tonight. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Do us a favor. If you like this, give it a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, subscribe. And we will see you next week for another fun, exciting show. Thanks a lot for being here.